Hi there. So, in my last message, I started talking about prayer. I thought I would continue that today for just a little bit. And I wanted to give you some examples of some things that I've prayed for this year that actually came to pass. But first, I want to start with a verse in James 4, verse 2, and it says, "You have not because you do not ask God." That's kind of condemning. It's like, well, maybe there is something that I should have prayed about, but I didn't ask God about it. And verse 3, though, follows right up after that and says that you have to pray with the right motives. So make sure that when you go to God and you're asking Him for something or you're saying, hey, this is what your word says, make sure that you're asking with the right motives. But I wanted to talk today about asking for wisdom. And this is also in James. It's James 1, verse 5. It says, "If any of you lacks wisdom, you should ask God, who gives generously to all without finding fault, and it will be given to you." Wisdom. I don't know how many times in my life I have needed wisdom to try to figure out what I should do, where I should go. So there have been a couple of times this year in particular that I have gone to him and asked for wisdom in dealing with something. And I will tell you, just as kind of a parenthetical thing, that this year I started something that I hadn't been doing before, and I have basically a notebook that I keep every year that I write in things that I hear when I'm praying, or my Bible study, that sort of stuff. But I've taken a couple of pages in the back, and whenever I pray for something and then it happens, or I find the answer, or something, happens the way it's supposed to, I write that down. And I find that that is really helpful, and it builds my faith because there are things that I might have forgotten about, but I wrote it down. And so by writing it down, that means I can go back in the future and I can say, yeah, God did this and He did this. Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. He did that too. So I would recommend that you find a way to actually write down and keep up with the things that God is doing to answer your prayers. So here's the situation that I had. In the first one, I had I write books, and they're academic books, and I had sent a book proposal, off to an acquisitions editor, and everything looked good. And she said she was going to take it before their editorial board. And then there was like zip, nothing for weeks. And I would send her email and I would get no response from her. And I could not figure out what was going on. And I got so tired of not getting a response from her. And I thought, well, in James it says if you lack wisdom, you should pray for it and ask for it. So I took that verse before him and I said, Lord, I don't have wisdom about what to do here because I don't have any other contact information for her. She's not answering her email. What should I do? And I said, Lord, I need to hear from her. And I want you to know that the next day she wrote me back. And it was an apology because she had dropped the ball on this. And I ended up getting the book contract. But I don't know how much longer it would have gone on if I hadn't said, I need help with this, Lord. I need wisdom. Show me what to do. And He did. And the other one was a conversation I needed to have with someone, a difficult conversation. Um, I don't find it easy to talk to people about things when I want to make a change, or they've done something maybe they shouldn't have done. I deal with students. And so I really didn't know how to approach this particular conversation. And so I prayed. And I just basically said, Lord, I need to have this conversation, but I don't know what to say. I don't know how to start this particular conversation. And I need you to give me wisdom on that. So set up a time and came to my office and we started talking, and I knew that at some point it was going to have to come up. But you know what? That person initiated the difficult conversation, not me. And basically said everything that I was going to ask happen, volunteered to do it without me even bringing up the subject. And I was so very grateful for that. I don't like having difficult conversations with people. I mean, nobody does. And I don't want to hurt people's feelings, but I also have certain standards that have to be upheld. And so this person understood what needed to happen and just volunteered to do it. And I was so grateful for that. That's why this is called a Grateful Girl podcast, because so many times he takes care of things for me. And I am so grateful for everything that he does and for, just the blessings and the goodness that overflows into my life. So it's not just me, he'll do this for you too. So I urge you, think about the previous podcast when I talked about how to kind of arrange your prayers. That, I hate to say format, but it kind of is. We all go to God individually, and he deals with us individually. So the things that he tells you to do will be different from what he tells me. But there is no doubt in my mind that if you go to him and you say, Lord, in your word, in James, it says, if any of you lack wisdom, you should ask God. I'm here to ask you for wisdom in this particular situation. He will honor that. He will come through for you. And then you should write it down and remember it, because the next time something comes up, you'll be looking through your notebook and go, oh, yeah, I know how to deal with this situation. I'm going to go ask God about it. And he is so very faithful. So, just a little, hopefully helpful lesson today about prayer and asking God. Remember, you have not because you ask not. Ask with the right motives and use a verse, and then you'll have it. All right? All right, guys, have a good week. Be blessed.